And I was like very shocked to actually find out that about 15 African footballers are being trafficked.
15,000.
15,000
Yeah.
are
And
being
yearly.
yearly.
Yeah.
So how did you actually become aware of it, and what really compelled you to kind of find a solution to that?
What's interesting about the number, about 15,000 football players being trafficked every year? Probably the numbers could be more, but because actually there's no data, there's not much data about players that get trafficked, so we don't really know that. But what got me into trying to find the data was when I started working on my startup, which is Kaazi. So the whole idea was to give visibility and opportunities to football players in Ghana and Africa. And everyone's dream is to play for these professional clubs. They watch they watch the Premier League every day. They watch the La Ligas every day. They want to become professional players. That's what they see. Even though the reality is different, right? It takes a lot to get there, or the opportunities, not a lot of those opportunities. So when I started doing that, I started figuring out that there's a lot of players from Africa, including Ghana, that get trafficked because they fall prey for this love to become professional football players. You have these fake agents that just come into these communities or work through people in the community, and they come in telling the people that, you know what, I have contact to this club that and have a contact that you fall for that. And then you and your family members end up funding so much money to get there. And we found out a lot of players actually end up to Europe, and they get stranded at that point. So it's an interesting story that I want to touch on. But then the numbers there, the 15,000 is as it stands, what is recognized. But I think it's even more than that.
Exactly. But then what happened to these people when they leave the African continent, then they come to Europe, like when they are trafficked? So in what situation do they find themselves?
Oh, man, there's so many stories, man. And just probably touch on one of a player that actually I collaborated with Tolu. He was a journalist that followed one player that got trafficked to Laos. And so it was a Nigerian football player. And that was an interesting story, because you think about how does a player leave Nigeria to end up in Laos as not really a major football country, but being fallen for this trap. Like most of these players ended up, when they arrive their destination, they get to figure out that it's a different story, it's a different ball game. These contacts have no contacts with clubs, and then in some cases they actually are put in situations where they need to bring more money to even have, to have a decent place to stay. So now they've gone for like what you call the brighter future, but now they're stuck, and they actually need to be contacting home to get a place to sleep. So not getting any place to sleep, not getting no access. An interesting thing about this story is that they then overrun their stay, because their documents to get into these places, most of the time when they enter these places, are not for working contracts or long-term contracts. So it's a typical cliche story, of just ending up in Europe and then you're stranded. You're stranded. But the worst case about this is that they come with aspiration to become professional football players. So it's very specific to kind of what I do. So that's why I know I have a bit of context into that.
Exactly. That's actually so sad. You are very passionate about football, the way you talk about it and all that. So do you remember a moment when you first fell in love with football?
Man, this is I think from childhood. This is an interesting question. I think from childhood, because I was born in Nigeria. So it started from childhood in school. I used to watch football at home, television, World Cup, all these major tournaments. I had an interest for it, but playing really was something that we used to do in the community. Like in most African communities, there's always football being played around. So I played a lot of football. So that was when interest came in. But then, like most African children in the beginning, just enjoying it. It's just something that you play with your friends. When you don't really see it from any other context of anything about it becoming professional or playing. You just enjoy playing. Exactly. So my initial moments of football I can remember would be, a community in Nigeria. For those of you probably that know it, in Niger State, there with my friends. Sometimes you overplay and you forget that you're supposed to go back. You're supposed to go back home to go and eat or something like that. So those were the initial moments, very lovely moments, obviously.
Exactly. Now that we spoke about that, I'm actually now remembering a picture of actually a small African boy coming home with a white feet, with dirty clothes. And then that you actually remember that you were sent. And then you end up playing football, and then you go back home and finding another trouble.
You have the idea that one of people that just for that, the troubles they got in, but just forget it. Okay, you're going one way, and then the football starts, and then after 2 hours, you're like, where was I actually going?
Exactly. So like, okay, now you being like a footballer in Africa and like with all these trends and all these like all this aspiration and all that, like what are some of the challenges that you kind of like experienced like during like in your journey?
In Nigeria, when I was young, I had a lot of interest for football. But then when I started going through when I started going to school and through secondary school, somehow I lost the connection to football because then it became school, it became academic, you know. So where I started getting back into playing football again, the journey didn't go like I was at a young age. I wanted to become a professional footballer, or go into football because I had the opportunity to go to school, you know, study law. I know a lot of children, for example, that didn't have that. I know a lot of friends that, but then it was staying home and playing football. School wasn't part of their journey. So just talking about that. So for me, that's probably my story is playing football, enjoying it, kind of giving up of it, not because I gave up of it, because I got into school. And you know, I know people probably watching this in Nigeria, you start going to the boarding school quite early. So at a young age already, you're already in the boarding school. And in the boarding school, I used to play football there. But in the school, it's not like you're playing training every day. You're playing as part of the school activity.
The school activities. And so that had, I think that had an impact on your football career. So
in a way, probably.
I see. So like that is the way that football like it's like changed your perspective in life, or maybe like, you know, some skills or some experience that you actually use now that you in life that you actually like you got from football.
I think, Ryan, this is a big question because I'll say football has just been like a lens for me, both from, you know, seeing the world, but also from like simple things, for example, just like the way on a pitch when you're playing football, the coordination and communication you have with your teammates. It's so difficult to explain to someone. Only someone that's played football will understand it. There's a high level of communication and coordination at every single moment. You already know what a person is going to do before they do it. So, and it's like so there's this level of thinking way ahead. And this is in life, you know what I mean? It allows you a level of observation. I'm able to observe things very differently. And also like the element of being strategic. And I'm a business person, I'm working business. Football brings you a high level of, it's all about strategy. It's all about tactics. Okay, you want to win. How do you win? What's your strength? You know, what's the weakness? How do you like, you know, cover your weakness, or how do you balance your weakness and bring out your strength? Okay, you're a smaller team playing against a better team or a bigger team. How can you still win? Football, it's life. On the base of it is actually life. Football has given me so much in life, both as individual skills, you know, and in so many layers, you know, of it.
Yes. And those are like very important, critical, important skills for one to have, especially communication. And I think football as well brings discipline. I'm not sure like in a way, but I kind of like know like footballers are very like disciplined people. But is that so though?
Yeah, I think anybody that's played football to a certain level of, let's say, it would just to like even semi-professional level where you need to be on time.
Yeah.
Because if you're not on time, you don't get into the team. You won't. No serious coach is going to have you in their team when you're not on time for training. So you know, we have a lot of this statement. We say Africa man time. You know, you're being late and stuff like that. If you're a football player, that time cannot work for you because you have a responsibility to your teammates. You have a responsibility to your coach. Or you got to wake up early hours. No one even tells you to do that. If you want to be a real coach, you're a good player, you need to wake up at certain hours, and it takes discipline. You want to wake up 4 a.m. in the morning. You want to wake up 5 a.m. No one is going to wake you up. So that level of discipline, you know, a lot of times people watch football and they just see the fun part. Oh, these guys are enjoying or whatever. But it takes a lot of discipline, dedication, commitment to go to, not able to become the professional player that we see as big clubs, to even play on a fourth division team anywhere in the world, even in Africa. It takes a lot of discipline. So those players you see, they're very disciplined.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I see. Now you are an entrepreneur and actually like in the area of your passion, which is football. So can you give us a background of Kaazi and what really compelled you to starting that company?
I say it every day. I think this is one of the biggest things I've done in my life because I've always loved football. I've always been part of football. But this was like the full circle moment for me where I saw everything coming together. Like me as a football player, being able to have a relationship with football players, and also being able to also see, being able now to follow the journey of football players when they're starting, and being also on the, let's say, the business part of football, which a lot of times in Africa, people don't look at. That's the big problem in Africa. A lot of times we're just seeing the fun and interesting part. We're not seeing the other part. So I'm now able to be in football from like all the aspects of it. The passionate part, the young little boy that's playing football, the young little girl that's starting to play football, I can see that. I can be part of that. I can see the coach that's trying to help this young boy, this young girl get better. And I can also see the whole commercial world of this. Okay, what's the commercial value? The player in Africa that we're looking at, how come this player now becomes valued at 20-something million euros or 20-something million pounds? And 90% of that money is probably not going to the community. So this is the context of my experience with Kaazi. This was the moment I had. I started feeling like, you know what, as an African, I've played football. With my experience as a coach in London, you know, I've seen a lot of this different aspects. So I was like, I can do something. There's the understanding I have of the game that I feel like, I would say only me. I had a unique experience. I'd played football in Ghana, in the community. I'd moved to London. I've become a coach. I've seen how it is like training football players professionally in London. I also now see the commercial aspect of it. So I had to do something. And I made a strong decision, which was the beginning of that's how I founded Kaazi. I want to give opportunities to football players in Africa. That's how I started. But how do you do this? That's like, okay, now this is a tough one. How do I do this one? So now it was in the middle of COVID. And this was what was the crucial part, because during the middle of COVID now, no one is moving, everybody's indoors. And that was when technology started taking a new wave. So I was like, I've never been, we play around with technology, but it was never like starting a technological company. I was like, you know what, let's create an application that gives access or opportunity to football players everywhere in Africa. So that's how I started it. So we built this app, we built this app in 2020, and the whole idea was to give every player anywhere in Africa to have access directly to a club. This is how I started the idea. Okay, if you're a young player in Uganda, a young player in Nigeria, you can just stay in your house, you have videos, your videos are very good, someone likes you, and then Arsenal can sign you, Chelsea can sign you. It was very kind of naive in the beginning, I would say, but that was the core reason I started it. And then, of course, as I started it, we've evolved, we've changed, but that is like the foundation of Kaazi. It came from giving opportunities to football players in Africa, specifically. But as we've gone, we've evolved into other things. And so what Kaazi does primarily is giving opportunities to football players everywhere, not just even in Africa now, but it started like as football players in Africa. And then I started going more into the challenges, started understanding that it's deeper than I even thought. So
I see.
A lot going on there.
Yeah, so can you take us through the functionality of the app itself? Like, how do you connect these young Africans to players, to different teams, or to coaches and all that?
Okay, so it's very simple. Just take you through how it works. Like, so we wanted to simplify everything. We wanted to simplify the actions for all the football players. Yeah. So how does a young football player playing? And the thing that's interesting, I guess I'm for Ghana. There are a lot of football players in Accra, Kumasi, which are like the central hubs of football, that get better opportunities than players, for example, let's say in northern region of Ghana, let's say Tamale, or like whole Volta region, just because of location. And it's interesting. Yeah. Similar to all the other countries in Africa, most of the players get scouted are players that are playing in the main hubs of the country, because professional scouts, they cannot go into that village there. That's true. Probably the journey from one part of Ghana to the other part, man, that journey alone, you probably will stop halfway through the journey, not because of it's, there's some, let's say, road connections. But are you telling me in this remote places, there are no football players? Football players, amazing football players. Exactly. So like, that's how I thought about it. So that football player in that remote village, what does he have? Okay, he has a phone, or she has a phone. That was the starting point. So can they video that? Yes, they can video their games. And the moment they video the games, we can then put it. So how we did the functionality was to create a profile for the player. So what you do is that you sign up to the platform, Kaazi.live, and then you start by creating your profile, just like how more traditional social media platforms work. But this was specific to football. So what you do is that when you sign up into the app as a player, you have an opportunity to put your playing position. So if you're a striker, there's an opportunity for you to put, I'm a striker. If you're a defender, you put your defender. And then you can upload your videos or your contents, both your pictures or your videos of your friends videoing you or anything. But you can even do that through the app. Our app allows you to actually take a video directly on the game as it's happening, and it's uploaded into the app. So that's the first move. That's the first move for the player. That is what Kaazi offers you. Kaazi offers you like a professional profile. So the player now has a professional CV. This young player that's playing the remote place of whatever now has a professional CV, which is very crucial in football, because in football, scouts or people in the game are not going to come and do that for you. You need to already have a base. Okay, what position do you play? How does that look like? So this is what it gives you. And then now, on the same app, oh man, I'm talking too much about the app. On the same app, on the same app, you can just click a button and you apply to a trial. We've gotten so many players that have gotten football opportunity app. So what we did, because when we started the platform, we wanted to create a marketplace. So what it was football players all over Africa, all the players, thousands of players, you can sign up, and all the professional clubs in the club will also sign up. So what it meant was that the scout, ideally in our mind, was the scouts in Chelsea, the scouts in Arsenal, the scouts in the German team, in the Bundesliga, or scouts in China could just come on the app, see this young player's name. What's his name? His name is called Mohammed, that lives in Tamale. This is his video. We see the video, why he's good. And that could be an initial starting point for them to have the interest. So we're building a connection from the player directly to the scouts. So what we did was that we had to create, we thought about this through. How do we create something that is the connector between the player and the recruiters? And we had what we call a trial button. So what the trial does is that the moment a recruiter, someone that wants players or a club that's recruiting for a club, so for example, we're Milan now, if let's say AC Milan wants young players, a lot of the professional clubs, they don't have to do that anymore because now they have a huge network. But a coming up club wants players, and they put it, we want strikers that are the age from 15 to 16. The moment they put in the app, the notification goes to all the players. And the players, all they have to do is just apply for the trial, and their profile is sent to the club. So we did it for a lot of Ghanaian clubs. We did it for a lot of Ghanaian clubs that were starting to recruit, and they came on the platform, created their profile, added their trials, and we have gotten players that have gotten scouted in Ghanaian clubs there. And obviously, we're looking to expand this to more clubs globally.
See, that's very interesting, and I think like it's really a great platform, especially for us people in the African continent, all over, like everybody that's actually aspiring to be a footballer. It's a great opportunity for them to actually connect them to the right people and in the right way and all that. So like, okay, you guys now working with this app and all. So do you have some of the success stories that you can like share with us?
Yeah, we did a documentary on a player called Nemo. So what we thought was that, let's also create content. And so when we're in Ghana, when I was in Ghana, we're like, let's create this video. Let's do a documentary of a player, like a traditional story of a Ghanaian player that struggled or is going through tough periods and how he's playing. And, he was called Maxwell. And at that period when he was playing, he was in a lower league. But the moment we did the documentary on the player, we put him on the platform, now he started getting so much like buzz and interest from clubs within the community. Eventually got signed into a Division 2 team, and now the team is actually promoted to the Division 1. So that's one of our standout story in terms of a player that gets the huge visibility. There's a Premier League club in Ghana, which is Hearts of Lions, that we're recruiting our platform, and we actually put their trials in our platform. And we're happy to the fact that we're able to put, let's say, a Ghana Premier League club that was then scouting to put their information on our app. And there were a lot of players there in our app that didn't know that team was scouting. So they were scouting for players, and that was the Ghana Premier League club that was looking for players, but some players didn't know that. So also that would be like a standout story, to be able to sort of like collaborate or work alongside in our own capacity, the Ghana Premier League club, which is something like is a big deal. You think about football in Ghana being a very big football country and, one of the top leagues. But, we're still working with a lot of, let's say, players on the amateur, semi-professional level within Africa.
Oh, yes, that's actually very interesting. Okay, now, dealing with this whole app, and obviously it's a lot of work that goes on behind the scene and everything, and all the logistic and all that. Look, so what are and it's a tech-based thing as well, and you are dealing with all these young people and all that. So what were some maybe of the challenges that you guys face from your side or like from the footballers as well?
The challenges, man, it's been challenges, but I could have a long list, man.
Yeah.
Challenges, I could have a list of challenges. There's a lot of challenges, but I feel the one out that was standing for me with my experience I've had for the past years.
Yeah.
The toughest is the psychological part. It's the psychological part to continue doing what you're doing. That for me, I say is the toughest part. Just to continue doing what you're doing, because all the other challenges will be subsets of things that will come to you as a way to make you stop. You know, one of your key member of your team deciding to leave in the middle of the year at some point where you've not planned. You never planned for this. You know, that will happen. Funding, how we run it. We still, as a club, we're still very proud to be like we're bootstrapped as a company.
Yeah.
And for the past 3 years, we kept on going. I remember when I started in 2020, there were a lot of startups that were, you know, $5 million, $2 million. Like, oh, when would Kaazi get this? I was hoping, but some of those clubs have already, some of those companies that were getting funding at that period, some of those companies have already been dissolved now. So, you know, and looking back, I was like, okay, where did they get the money? But this people got the money, but the company doesn't really exist anymore, or they stopped doing what they're doing. So being able to bootstrap with little resources you have from yourself, your friends, your family, that you're using to navigate, you know, that can be tough, especially when it's tech-based. Funding was tough to navigate with little resource, but to try and do so much. It was very, very difficult to do. But these are all things that also we learn from football. Sometimes you have a small team, but you got to figure it out.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was tough. Funding, tough. You know, finding the right people to work along. I'm very happy with my team that I still have now and people that I've worked with. But it's not even easy to build the right team or to have the right team of people that have your same vision and will move with you. So many different challenges. But I think the key one is the psychological element. You know, you're constantly being challenged psychologically. You know, are you doing the right thing? Should you keep on doing this? Should I stop? Should I just give up this and now just go and look for like a 9-to-5 job? Like, should I just give, you know? And then, so you're always dealing with this psychological elements, psychological things talking to you in your mind. And when you're alone in this moment, it's telling you give up on what you're doing, or, you know, probably you're doing it wrong, probably do it later. Or, you know, those things, I feel the psychological element was the toughest part.
Okay.
Or is the toughest part.
I see. Like, but it was there a time when you were like, let me just leave this thing. Let me just stop and go into something else.
Yeah.
Was there the moment like that?
So many moments. So many of them. So many of them. And so many moments where you're like, because, you know, the things, especially with technology, you have a plan, right? Oh, we're going to launch, and when we launch this and this will happen, this will happen. And you're like, you're not getting any kind of feedback you're not getting positive feedback. You know, what you envision would resonate with people does not. And you spend so much time building that, and then you get to it like, why doesn't this work? It can be frustrating. You're constantly building as you go, spending a lot of time and energy, and you're probably not getting the results that you had planned in the beginning or you're seeing. So that can be frustrating. Also, you're dealing also with life. You know what I mean? But it takes a lot of courage and also the right team and family, right people around you that believe in what you're doing and support you as much as they can. And, you know, so sometimes it's not just you, it's never just me, it was all the people around me. You know, I wanted to give up so many moments, but my friends, my family, and keep on telling me that, listen, what you're doing is good, keep on going, it's going to work out. And then, you know, that word of encouragement, and then seeing also the results, seeing how we're also impacting some football players. So that just somehow kept me, let's say, our team and us going.
I see. Wow, that's very interesting. And I think that's actually the moment. It's like if you don't have the right people, the right people to back you up, and you're not remembering why you started in the first place. That's why, like, we have a lot of people that actually gave up on what they do and then try to do something else. But it's very interesting to know that you actually, like, you still have that passion that you had like the very first day. So yeah, like
probably more.
Yeah, exactly.
After this interview, I'll probably have more.
Exactly. So now you are now in Europe.
Yeah.
And you are an entrepreneur in Europe. So how has that influenced your entrepreneurship journey?
Okay, me being African or
you being African and coming to Europe and
oh man, yeah. So the talking my story itself, and you know, I'll tell you this funny story. This is very interesting. This is I think when I meet people that ask me this story, I always want to tell them. But it's, you know, whenever I'm back in Ghana, because I moved to UK like 6-7 years ago.
Oh.
And when I moved was when I had the opportunity to then go into coaching. Yes, my journey is let's say it's a different kind of journey, right? Because I had opportunity through my partner to then be able to have the visa access and going to Europe, traveling by air. My journey was a different journey. So this is very important. Sometimes we should always remember that it's not the kind of story that people think it is sometimes. So my journey was, I was privileged to have that access. That's one. Also, when I came into Europe, I had also so much privileges because of my partner. Also being for the fact that there was opportunities and access and advice and support that allowed me to have a better integration for myself on my part of my journey. So a lot of times it's not always like this, because I had an opportunity to develop myself professionally, to become a football coach in London. And whenever I would come back to Ghana, and I'll go back to, we have a barbershop in where I'm from, Sakamono, where all the football players, we sit down, even when we just talk about football, talk about stuff. So whenever I'm back, I still go there, we have this conversation, and they tell me, listen, they call me like, Charlie, Bayo, why you never carry me go this like in St. PG? Why you never carry me go London? Like, why would you take me to London? I tell them, guys, it's not the way I wish I could explain to them. And those times I was still coming to London, I was still doing shitty jobs. At that point, still doing shitty jobs. Like crazy work, still navigating the life of London, from even the job, you're not too sure if you could keep on the job. I was fundraising in London, standing in the rain, the cold. And when I came back and I saw them, and I saw even my friend that run the barbershop, and the way he was relaxed. Yes, it's not in London, but I was like, you have a better job than even me. But then whenever I tell them that, you know what they tell me? They're like, but why are you going back? Exactly. Like, so that's why I stopped talking. In everything I say, I say da. They look, but why are you going back? Exactly. And you know what I end up saying? I'm like, listen, I wish you could one day with your own eyes see it the way it is. Yeah. But I know that probably not everybody will have the privilege to do that. But I feel that for Africans in Africa, as much as there's a lot of opportunities in Europe, and there are other kinds of dynamics to it, we should always not just fall for the illusion of what we see. And like, when you watch the Hollywood movie and the train, you just pass it, it looks nice. Oh man, listen, if we were going to do a documentary on London, on the amount of mentally ill people in London, mentally ill Africans in London, and these are people that have lived in London their whole life. They have their documents, but they're mentally ill because of the lifestyle of London being traumatic. That can be traumatic. That aspect alone will make some Africans probably say, you know what, it's better I stay in my little corner and just stay. It's not easy. It's really not easy. And just talking about here being in Milan, and which is Italy, which has a different context, which is interesting because I have experience. It's also been in Italy. It's even worse. You know what I mean? If just coming here, just before we came to this interview, just at the Garibaldi station, there were a lot of Africans there. In this rain, what are they doing? Hustling, like in this rain, it's rain, like, and what I mean, you could get ill just for one day's job. What I mean, an illness, real illness. Yeah. In Ghana, the sun is shining. In the worst case, you just find your place and go back. In this rain and this cold, no place to go back to. You don't want to be in that kind of situation. So what I'm trying to say is that, yes, there's opportunities, but there's also the other side of it. So look at one side, look at the other side. Let's not just be looking at one side. Look at both. Yes, you can become a professional person if you have the right opportunity, the right access, but there's another side of it. Exactly. So let's look at all of it. Exactly. Yeah.
And I think because like every African's dream is actually to go to Europe, to go to America, but then you're coming here and then you find yourself in another, like in a totally opposite situation. But then like if you go back home and then you tell them that it's not what it is, it's like you are blocking their ways, like you don't wish success upon them and all. So it's really, really like a challenge.
But just to pick up on that, I feel that from my experience and working as a professional coach, as a coach with young people, I never touch the aspiration of an individual. And that's something that we always have to be conscious about. Yeah. No one has the right to touch on anyone's aspiration. So whatever someone aspires to become, that thing has to be respected. So when I meet a young football player, for example, and tells me that I want to play for Chelsea or like to play for Arsenal.
Yeah.
I will never tell them like, oh, you cannot make it. Oh, people struggle to make it. No. But all I tell them is that it starts from a point. Start from now. Start from today. Start from what you can do now.
Yeah.
So in terms of the aspiration, it's nothing wrong to aspire to become something. It's always good to aspire to be whatever, but it's also good to have right people around you that give you the realistic elements of your journey that you can make it, but to make it means that you have to do this and this and this and this and this. And also to make it, probably just 0.0% of people make it. So that can also give you different ideas of how you want to approach life. Okay, maybe I can also be playing football and also be studying. Or okay, I can be doing this. So it gives you, so this is what I try to tell my football players. I try to allow them to see different possibilities, not just one possibility, because there's nothing wrong with aspiration, but the problem is when aspiration makes you blind to every other reality. So we should aspire to become anything, but let that not make you become blind to every reality around you.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
So you guys, you have encountered like other African, like the African diaspora, and then like so what initiatives are you guys like involved in helping like other Africans as well? No,
like Africans, Africans in the diaspora.
Yeah.
I feel whenever, as an African in the diaspora, in London, Italy, or wherever in Europe, just the fact that you're even an entrepreneur already is a revolution in itself. Because just for that, because there's not a lot of African entrepreneurs, or let's say Black entrepreneurs that you think. You know what I mean? So sometimes, that's something we forget. I'll give you an example. There's lots of football players, Black football players that you see, right? But there's not a lot of football players that become entrepreneurs. The same with every aspect of the life in Europe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of blockages and a lot of mindset in our community that does not allow us to go into entrepreneurship and go into business.
Yeah.
We normally tend to, there's a lot of challenges, but I believe that we should see more, we should, with a number of Africans and black in the Black community, we should see more entrepreneurship. But we're not seeing more because of a lot of, let's say, so me as myself, I see myself and my journey itself being the first inspiration to others. And that's why also the pressure to want to make it can also come. Because I feel that if I do it, if I'm able to do it, like now I'm here, I'm telling my story.
Yeah.
This story should be able to inspire another person, wherever you are. Like, he just had a passion for football. He saw something and he started his company. That's how you should start your own. You should have whatever you have passion for, you should just start it. So that is my first inspiration. Because, when people write about me or I have articles written about me, that story itself for me is the first inspiration. I'm not yet gotten to the level, or I don't feel like I've gotten to a level where I should really start going to give workshop on people and entrepreneurship and stuff like that, because I'm still in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So when Kaazi becomes, the biggest sports brand in the world, then will be a different conversation. I have a responsibility now to what I'm doing and I want to work on it. But I feel my story stuff should be an inspiration. I hope it's an inspiration. And of course, when I meet young entrepreneurs that are starting off on a one-on-one, we talk about, I've not made like a, strategic or structured plan to go around inspiring other entrepreneurs. But I think through meeting, through telling my story like I'm doing, that's why I'm always curious and happy when people invite me, like the opportunity you're giving me now to tell my story, because I feel that itself can probably inspire others that are starting or in a position where they want to stop. And I'll tell you, don't stop. Keep going. Just get the right people around you and keep pushing.
Exactly. So if you were given I'm giving an opportunity, like to give like an advice, to other Africans that are living in African countries that aspire to actually come, that thing that their dream is actually like in Europe, they can make it here. So like what, if you can just give them a piece of advice, what will it be?
What would it be?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. You put me right there. But it's not. It's tough, but it's not tough. You know what I would say, and I'll say this on this. I'll say this to you, and I'll say this to every Africa. The African continent now and today, as we talk at this moment, as I'm talking to your eyes, still has the biggest opportunity than any place in the world. And I'll say that again. Africa now, as we're talking, has more opportunities than any place in the world. So that's where I'll start from. So that already makes you what I'm trying to say. What it means is that from any angle of business or industry or work you can think about, Africa has the biggest opportunity. And you know why that can be evident? Why do you think all the countries are still going to Africa, trying to go and invest and do what? So what it means is that shows you already. But now, there's an important element of wanting to see other things that looks probably good or looks other stuff, which is good. So what I'll tell a young entrepreneur that is in Africa, look closely around you and see the opportunities around you and find the opportunity and take ownership of the opportunity. And when you do it well, Europe will come naturally. It won't be in a forced way, because when I meet a lot of young African entrepreneurs, it's like they're forcing. Oh, I want to go. I want to be here. I want to go here. I want to go here. If you do the basics well, you'll be in and out of Europe like that. Because Africa naturally connects to everywhere, right? So whatever product you have or whatever service you have, but you're able to do it well and take ownership of it in any place in Africa, the world will come to you. The world will come to you. And I'm saying this like really, I really believe what I'm telling you. You know what I mean? With me as an entrepreneur, all my future businesses or things I want to go that I'm already in my plans to do are all in Africa. So that should already tell you, yes, I'm in Milan now, but I'm thinking about going to my next projects in Africa, the next one's Africa. So that should already tell you that why am I moving in there? So you know what? So this is just for me, and this is what I'm saying. Why are people coming? Why people continue coming? So it's just that we have changed the lens. So if you just look closely, look back, look around you, where you are in your community, look around you. If your community or you guys have a shea butter, make shea butter become the multi-million business, and people from the world will come for that service. If your community is cocoa, start with that cocoa, and the whole world will come for that product you're going to create. And that cocoa will allow you, that your product that you're going to take and do it well. If you create the best shea butter that everybody wants to watch, that will let you go. You will be traveling the whole world. But if you force yourself and do this forced journey, this forced stuff, you're going to end up cleaning the toilets in the other place and stay stuck there, like it happens to a lot of people. But like I keep saying, when I'm saying this, I don't like to be judgmental on anyone's journey. For the person that's gone through that, there's also a story. But I'm just saying, from my own experience, from my own analysis, dignity is so important. If you stay in Africa and you build in Africa, you'll keep your dignity. If you make a forced journey, you will have to give up of your dignity. So that's something that I'll leave there. Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. I just want to take him back a little bit, because you mentioned that you were privileged to fly to Europe.
Yeah.
And then, so what other ways are there that Africans actually come to Europe? Like the normal, Africans, we find yourself here and then you especially on the opposite side. Okay. So what other ways are there, like Africans take for them to come to Europe, that don't get the opportunities like yours?
Like how they get here?
Yeah, how they get here.
I think you probably, if you go on the internet, you just put that, you're going to see the stories of people like drowning the boats, right? And we're in Italy, so this is probably a good opportunity to talk about this, right? So yeah, we're in Milan. And now when you're in Europe now, like in Italy, for example, the general conversation on the television or everything right now is, the political conversation is around this, right? Oh, the boats, the Africans are the boats. So in Italy, Africans, it doesn't care if you have $1 million, as a black person, you're seen as the guy that came through the boat. All the problems in Italy, they're always blaming on the Africans. Wow. Oh, our economy is not doing well, is the Africans. Oh, it's the guys that come from the boat. Our security is not doing good, is the Africans. Africans are on blame for everything. Because of people that are coming through the boats, because of the Africans that are coming through the boats. Wow. So I have met people that have lived the lived experience. And when I talk about this specific thing, the only thing I always say before I start into it, so all the life to all the brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, and family members who lost on the journey, we hope that your memories can continue in a way, and we hope that more lives won't continue to be lost in this specific way, because all those people that live on those journey have genuine aspirations and dreams, and it's unfortunate that has to happen. But now going into talking about lived experiences from my friends in my network. For example, some of them are football players, and they used to play football back home, and they decided to come on a journey. So on this journey, so it's sometimes so when I hear the stories, it's so difficult to even just kind of receive it and then to now give it like this. But what I'll say is that the trauma that they experience on this journey will stay with them for their lives. It doesn't matter what they become. So if they come to Italy and become big business people in future, whatever they become in future, the experience on that journey will stay with them forever. and it's a traumatic experience. I have a friend that's told me about his experience, and in this journey that he is on, I'll just give you a specific moment of the journey, because that's one moment I tell. So when, at some point on the boat they were on, one of the African brothers on the boat had died on the boat. But now, there were two of them, including him, that found out that, because they were all clamped up in the boat. But now, they couldn't tell anybody, because they were afraid that the moment they told anybody on the boat, what was going to happen was that everyone was going to try to see and look at this person that was dead, and then that would have brought the weight of the boat to that side to make it capsize. So they had the whole journey with someone dead next to them without them telling anybody on the boat until they arrived.
Wow. That is like, so this is like what they, like the situations, like the things that they call and.
So he was telling me his story, his experience. So when I was now talking to him, so this someone has experienced that, has made it into Italy, now is living in Italy, and he's better off than probably a lot of other Italians because he's got his document, but he's still not good. Because those experiences are not experiences that we should be experiencing.
Exactly.
So when you decide to make those journeys, when you decide, you are the African person that decides to make those journeys, think through it.
It's true. It's true. And I think it's going to be so hard to tell an African brother or sister in Africa that, my brother, that is not the journey. Like, you shouldn't take that journey, because, like, is it really worth it for you to actually take that journey to risk your life going to Europe or going to Italy if you are better off where you are or something like that?
I feel that's the part of this conversation that a lot of times when we talk about, Africans, making, let's say, this kind of like decisions to get on a boat and risk their life, a lot of times we put a lot of responsibility on the individuals that are actually making the young person that does it and then dies, or the young person that makes the move is a stupid decision. But I feel that we can never take responsibility from the governments, from us, because this is the biggest part of all of this. We cannot be looking at just the young person that wants to aspire to come to Europe or wants to aspire without we looking at the responsibility that is on the leadership of all these countries. We're responsible. Anybody that dies on the boat, the government of that country is partly responsible. It's partly responsible, like the blood is on them as that. That's what I mean. So it's not something that is like an external thing to you. Okay, they're dying there. Oh, he's made a stupid decision. No, it's on you. The blood is on you. So this blood of all the young people that have died are on the politicians that are ruling the countries. Because because it's not just them just living, wanting to live. It's because of the conditions that are there for them. That's why we all need to take the responsibility, even me as an entrepreneur. That's why I'm saying this. We all need to take the responsibility, whatever way we can take, to work towards African countries and our societies. So we don't have to be having these conversations. I don't have to be coming here talking about this. I need to say other things. We need to work hard towards that, to have a responsibility. You, the guy in the political office, you have a responsibility, and this responsibility is on you. The money you have access to that you're supposed to use to develop the community, if you don't use it wisely or don't use it well, use it to your own benefit, the person that dies, that blood is on you. So we have to get to the point where we have to realize the connection. And of course, the blood is not just on the African politicians, it's also on all the other partners that are partly to blame for making Africa be in this condition. So that blood is on all the people involved. So what I'm trying to make you understand is that this is the reality of it. So yes, the young person makes a stupid decision to go in and get drowned, and we still tell them not to go, because I still believe that there's still a lot of opportunities in Africa, that's better off, because we know what happens in the long run, because we're here at the end of it, so we see what's happening here. But I also feel that the responsibility, the major part of responsibility is on the leadership of the African continent. And we all need to step up, because when we say the leadership of the African continent, it's not just them. I'm also a leader. You're a leader. We're all part of it. So, on all of us, we have the responsibility. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing through Kaazi. So everyone is got to find a way to work towards this. So it's not like just blaming game. Oh, the young person, look at, you made that stupid decision. Look at what's happened to you. He's died again. Oh, these guys are making foolish decisions. No, what are we doing? All of us are partly responsible, and we need to work towards that. And this is just to touch on that.
That's very true. That's very true. Because I see like this is like a big conversation here in Europe, like the migrants, Africans that are coming to Europe and to America. But this is actually not a conversation in Africa. Nobody's talking about like in any of our African leaders. Nobody's talking about the young people that are leaving the African continent going to Europe. That is not a conversation. Nobody even knows. Not many people knows about it. So I see our African leaders are not really taking they're not taking the responsibility. They just don't care. I don't want to say that, but it's like,
it's responsibility. We need to take the responsibility. We need to take that. We need to take the responsibility to sort ourselves out.
That's very true.
And sorting ourselves out involves every young person, every young boy, every young girl. So all the young football players that want to become professional players, they don't need to go to Europe. They don't need to. You get what I'm trying to get at? They don't need to. If we set up the right clubs and these guys don't want to make millions of dollars. Most of them don't want to do that. They just want to have enough to take care of their families. So if the leagues in Ghana, the leagues in Nigeria, the leagues in Uganda, the leagues in Tanzania, from the Premier League, second level to the third level, is paying enough, that covers enough health insurance for the players, for them to be able to manage their health bill, take care of the family, you think they'll be thinking about going to cost anything? They wouldn't. So this is where we talk about responsibilities. As I'm talking, same to all the football federation, all the football federations in Africa. We have to take the responsibility to sort ourselves out so that we don't have to have always our players trying to run away, go somewhere else. There's no need for that. So for Kaazi, when we talk about Kaazi, what we try to do in Kaazi is, yes, the Indian player that plays in India, India should work for him or for her. You know what I mean? You should be able to go from, I'm a young player in my community, I play for my community team, I progress to the next Division 2 team, I go to Division 1. I'm proud of my country, I'm proud of my community, and I'm playing for this profession, for this club. Listen, when we watch all these Premier League clubs, La Liga, all these clubs that we watch, okay, I support Arsenal, support Chelsea, stuff like that. Do you know how it feels like when you're a young boy that started off from Chelsea? As a kid, you went through the academy, you're a local person to the community, and you go and you play for the club. Do you know how they feel? There's nothing greater than that, because they're going from something that's home. This is me, I felt that. This should be the same story for the African that is close to, let's say, Tamale United. He should start from the grassroots team and go and see Tamale United, his team at the top there, at the highest level. That should be his height of wanting to reach. You know what I mean? And that club has to be able to be in the level that can give him the life and his finance or the support. So this goes to all the clubs in Africa. We all need to step up. We need to step up. So it's not our children or your players or the people from your community are leaving you to go and have the highest height of their professional career somewhere else. They can have the highest height of their professional career in your country. We're seeing that with Saudi Arabia. We're seeing that. You just need to do the right thing. You just need to sort yourself out. We need to sort ourselves out. And the same way you have players moving from all over the world going to Saudi Arabia, we should have players from all over the world want to get signed in an African team.
Exactly.
That is what we should be, that's what we're working towards. We should have that. That is the whole thing of what we should be doing. So we have also players coming from other places wanting to come and play in a club that is in Uganda or that's in Zambia. Everybody wants to go and play there. It just takes we sorting ourselves out and doing the right thing and working hard towards it.
Exactly. That's very true. That's very true. Thank you so much, Kaazi. Thank you so much.
You're going to go Kaazi. You're going to use the Kaazi now.
Thank you so much, Nana. Yeah. And how will, if people want actually to reach out to you or to reach out to Kaazi, what is the right platform, or where can they what are the platforms where people can actually reach out to you?
So it's www.kaazi.life. That's our website. And that links you up to all the handles and the Facebooks and everything. So, but the website is www.kaazi.life. Kaazi as this, Kaazi. And anybody that's watching this, be part of the community, because for us, it's not just football players, it's also football fans. Anybody that loves football, that wants to be part of football, that enjoys football in the world, that sees this, come and join our community. There's so many ways that you can be part of our community by either getting our merchandise, or by coming to support a player, or by bringing your energy into the community. We get to do more, both in Africa and everywhere where we work. So anybody that's watching this, just check out Kaazi. So yeah. Okay. And we say Kaazi, shine forever. Nice.
Kaazi, shine forever. So thank you so much, and we wish you all the best with Kaazi and everything that you do, and keep changing the African lives. and inspiring other Africans to actually find solutions to the African problems that we actually have.
And Elizabeth, before I leave, thank you very much, and to you and your team for putting this together. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to come on the platform and talk about my story and what we do. I really appreciate it. I'm thankful to you and your team for giving me this opportunity. And I hope we should do this again. What's the second one? Yeah.
Most definitely. So thank you so much. So if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. And also don't forget to turn on your notification bell for you to be always notified whenever we post another inspiring episode such as the one for Nana. So thank you so much and see you in the next episode.